So let's start out with topic number one, something that you mentioned the last time that you were on. You mentioned doing a self-assessment, and I would venture to say that your self-assessment did serve you when you got ready to study for the CBAP. So give us some information about your self-assessment. First of all, what do you mean by that? What does that mean? You did a self-assessment.
Okay. Well, yes, a self-assessment for me is basically benchmarking where I'm at and where my potential growth should be by a certain time frame. So how I did this was, first of all, my employer before my current employer, when my contract ended, I went ahead and asked them, can you please give me some feedback? Can you critique me? That gave me my first baseline. They wanted me to be a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more pushy.
Okay.
Because I can kind of,
I'm sorry, I just want to ask you a question. You had to ask for that feedback when you left that contract, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. Right when I did my closing interview, I went ahead and I sat there and I asked, what can I improve on? What did you like about what I did? And some of the feedback was, we just wanted you to be a little bit more assertive, a little bit more results driven. And that was fine with me. I wanted to get there and I accepted that criticism at the time. And I also knew my goal was, well, I want to work on projects. You guys don't have me touching what I want to touch yet. So in order to get to the place I wanted to get to, of course, I had to improve. So I started documenting every assignment that I worked on in this spreadsheet. And I separated it from what my projects were versus what my tasks were and production issues, because all of those were just different categories. Quick fixes versus things you actually have to walk through the steps of what the BABOK teaches you, those different knowledge areas. Okay.
So you created this spreadsheet on your own, basically?
Yes. Okay. I modified this spreadsheet, okay? So my husband was a project manager. He gave me a project log spreadsheet that he had. I took this spreadsheet and modified it so that it can work with all of my assignments in one.
I see. Okay.
Right. So I was able to track everything that I was doing. And after everything was resolved, I can still look back when they asked me, what did you do? What did you do 6 months ago? Just filter and pull them right back up in that spreadsheet. So along with that, we have our performance reviews, of course. So in order for you to get a raise or to even show what you worked on outside of the managerial reporting, you need to be able to document these things in your performance reviews, because from my experience, they give us our performance reviews before they assess you. So if you're getting that performance review first, you'll see different areas on it as far as what were your technical skills, what were your leadership skills? What's your time management skills? So in those areas, I was able to determine what my time management skills were just by looking if I passed deadlines and being able to show that I delivered on time. And if there was a reason why I didn't deliver on time, what was the constraint? Was a project constraint? I was able to actually quantify and pull those numbers out from that log.
Okay, I see.
So, and on top of that, just looking at job postings for different levels of business analysts. So from a junior level all the way to a senior level, looking at the job duties and the requirements. So if some job duties said they wanted you to have SQL, well, okay, 3 years ago, I didn't have SQL experience. So I was determined to dig in and learn it. And of course, I had to use different tools, like SQL Server was a little bit more complicated at the time for me. So I used an advanced query tool. It made the job a lot easier for me.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was able to take the code that I can create, that was user-friendly system. So I can create the code and then learn how to use it in SQL Server.
Right.
So that was one of the biggest things in my first few years that I wanted to learn. It was learning SQL, because I realized if you knew the database of the system, I mean, like production support, enhancements, you have it. It's right there. That's the key, the data. So once I learned that and I got past that, my managers would always say, okay, Stephanie, what's next? What's next? And I would research, let's see, what kind of certifications are hot right now? What's new in the BA world, or what's new in IT, period? And they would come to me and say, okay, where are you taking your certification at? What class are you taking?
Oh,
and
okay.
So
wait a second. So you're saying that there were other things that you did before the CBAP?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So this was more like a ongoing process for you, like gaining multiple certifications or taking multiple classes, that kind of thing.
Correct. Yes.
All right. And were you like going it alone, or were there other people who were joining you in some of this? How did that work?
Okay. So for I did the ITIL, or some people say IDLE certification. There was nobody in my work environment that was doing that exam. My husband, me and him started at first because he's in IT too. But then after a while, we went our separate ways. We have different study techniques. So we both went our separate ways, and then I ended up taking the exam a little bit before him, and it was really self-study. We bought a study guide and read, looked online for practice tests, white papers, and took the exam. So most of the people who were in my same career field, they weren't chasing after the same things as me.
I see. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right.
So it was a lot of self-motivation, and wasn't necessarily that your organization was pushing you to do this. It was a lot of self-motivation.
Oh, yes. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Because your role, your job title, all of that can be replaced. Just as more companies are transforming over to the Agile world, business analyst positions, project manager positions, some of those are, switching titles to project owners and Scrum masters. So you have to always stay ahead of the game and, explore and see what else is out there. Because for me, I want to be an asset to where, okay, if this job title is being dissolved, you can move me to the left and move me to the right.
Right. Stephanie says she wants to be irreplaceable. So, and I get that. I understand that. Yes. But you're right. I'm keeping up on your skill sets is very important. There's always something else to learn, something new to learn. And like you said, as you journey from the junior level up to the senior level, there are different things that people are going to expect or even require you to know or even be familiar with.